He'd been humiliated in school, and the fear of graduation had taken away hope, but that all changed when Zendaya appeared on his doorstep. Subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're watching this video from. The last bell of the school day rang through the halls of Westlake High, a sprawling suburban campus known for its sleek, modern architecture and diverse student body. For many, it was the sound of freedom, heralding afternoons filled with friends, hobbies, or the quiet solitude of home. For Noah Carter, a quiet and introspective 17-year-old with a love for art, it was a signal to prepare for the worst. Noah's steps were deliberate as he left his classroom, his backpack slung over one shoulder and his sketchbook clutched tightly to his chest. The hallway was crowded with students, their chatter and laughter blending into an indistinct hum. Noah avoided making eye contact, hoping to pass unnoticed as he navigated toward his locker. He had learned to keep his head down, to avoid drawing attention because attention often meant trouble. Despite his precautions, trouble found him. "Well, look who's decided to grace us with his presence," came the familiar sneer of Ryan Maxwell, a star quarterback and self-appointed king of the senior class. He was flanked by two of his usual cronies, their Letterman jackets practically glowing in the fluorescent light. Noah didn't respond. He knew better. Instead, he tried to walk past them, his heart pounding in his chest. Ryan, however, stepped directly into his path. "Hey, Carter, I'm talking to you," Ryan said, his tone mocking. "What's in the book this time? More pictures of trees and clouds? Or maybe you've started sketching us, for inspiration." The sketchbook was snatched from Noah's hands before he could react. His pulse raced as Ryan flipped through the pages, his friends leaning over his shoulder to get a better look. "Wow," Ryan said, his voice dripping with mockery. "This is actually pretty good for a loser." Laughter erupted from the small group, and Noah felt his face flush with humiliation. He wanted to snatch the book back, to yell at them to leave him alone, but his feet felt rooted to the floor. He hated how powerless he felt in moments like these, how their taunts seemed to strip away the little confidence he had left. "You should thank me," Ryan continued, holding the sketchbook high above his head as if it were a trophy. "I'm giving your work the attention it'll never get otherwise." The hallways had grown quieter, the earlier bustle replaced by a tense silence as other students stopped to watch the scene unfold. Some whispered to each other, while others looked away, unwilling to intervene. Noah's humiliation was a spectacle, one that few dared disrupt. "Give it back," Noah finally managed to say, his voice shaken. It was a small victory, a flicker of defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, but it was enough to anger Ryan. "Or what?" Ryan shot back, stepping closer. "What are you gonna do, huh? Draw me to death?" The laughter erupted again, louder this time, and Noah clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. Before he could respond, a teacher's voice cut through the noise. "Ryan, what's going on here?" Mrs. Patel, a no-nonsense math teacher with a reputation for fairness, approached the group with a stern expression. Ryan quickly shoved the sketchbook back into Noah's chest, his grin replaced by a look of feigned innocence. "Nothing, Mrs. Patel," he said smoothly, "just admiring Noah's art. He's really talented, "Enough," Mrs. Patel snapped. "All of you get to where you're supposed to be, now." The crowd dispersed quickly, and Ryan and his friends sauntered off, their laughter echoing down the hallway. Noah clutched his sketchbook tightly, his hands trembling. Mrs. Patel turned to him, her expression softening. "Are you okay, Noah?" she asked gently. Noah nodded, though his throat felt tight. He muttered a quick "Thank you" before walking away, eager to escape the prying eyes that still lingered. By the time he reached the art room, his sanctuary, Noah felt the weight of the day bearing down on him. He sat at one of the empty tables, opening his sketchbook to inspect the damage. To his relief, the pages were intact, though the feeling of violation lingered. He began to draw, his pencil gliding across the paper in long, sweeping strokes. It was his way of coping, of reclaiming some sense of control in a world that often felt unpredictable and cruel. As the lines took shape, forming the beginnings of a landscape, he allowed his mind to drift. Noah thought about prom, the event everyone at school seemed to be talking about. For most, it was a night of glamour and celebration, a chance to make memories before graduation. For Noah, it was a nightmare waiting to happen. He couldn't imagine subjecting himself to an entire evening surrounded by people who either ignored him or made his life miserable. The thought of prom brought an ache to his chest, a mix of longing and resignation. Part of him wanted to go, to experience the magic he'd seen in movies and heard about from others. But the reality of his situation, the stares, the whispers, the possibility of being humiliated in front of the entire school, kept him firmly grounded. "Noah?" The voice startled him, and he looked up to see his art teacher, Miss Daniels, standing nearby. She was a kind woman in her late 30s with a warm smile and a genuine interest in her students. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, glancing at his drawing. "That's beautiful, by the way. You have such a gift." "Thanks," Noah mumbled, closing his sketchbook. "I wanted to check in," she continued, her tone gentle. "I heard about what happened in the hallway. Are you okay?" Noah hesitated, then nodded. "I'm fine," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Miss Daniels studied him for a moment, then sighed. "You know, Noah, you're stronger than you think. Don't let people like Ryan make you doubt that." He looked away, unsure how to respond. Miss Daniels didn't press further, instead offering him a reassuring smile before leaving him to his work. As the day faded into evening, Noah walked home, his sketchbook tucked securely under his arm. The streets were quiet, the setting sun casting long shadows across the pavement. He thought about Miss Daniels' words, about the strength she believed he had. For now, it felt like a distant concept, something just out of reach. When he finally reached his house, Noah went straight to his room. He placed his sketchbook on the desk and lay down on his bed, staring at the ceiling. The events of the day replayed in his mind, each memory sharpening the edges of his despair. But as he closed his eyes, a thought flickered in the back of his mind, a small, stubborn spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could change. The weekend brought a brief reprieve for Noah, offering him the sanctuary of home, away from the constant scrutiny and taunts of school. Yet, even in the quiet of his room, the weight of the past week lingered. His sketchbook lay open on his desk, half filled with the landscape he'd started in the art room. He picked up his pencil, but his hand hovered above the page, unable to focus. His thoughts kept circling back to prom, the event he couldn't seem to escape, on posters, social media, or in the conversations of classmates he passed in the halls. The door creaked open, and Noah's mom, Denise, peeked inside. "Hey, honey, just checking on you. You've been quiet all morning." "I'm fine, Mom," Noah replied, trying to sound convincing. Denise walked in, sitting on the edge of his bed. She studied him with concern. "You sure? You've been so withdrawn lately. Is everything okay at school?" Noah hesitated. He hated worrying his mom, especially when she was already juggling 2 jobs to keep their lives stable. "It's fine," he said, forcing a small smile. just senior year stress. Denise nodded slowly, but didn't seem entirely convinced. You know, prom's coming up. Are you planning on going? Noah froze, the question hitting him like a punch to the gut. I don't think so, he said quickly. It's not really my thing. Not your thing? Denise echoed. Noah, you've been dreaming about senior prom since you were little. Remember how you used to talk about dancing with your date and taking pictures with your friends? That was before, he mumbled, his voice barely audible. Before what? Denise pressed gently. Before I realized how people see me, Noah admitted, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. He looked away, his cheeks burning with shame. Denise's expression softened, and she reached out to place a comforting hand on his shoulder. Sweetheart, you can't let other people's ignorance define your happiness. You deserve to enjoy your senior year, to go to prom and make memories. Don't let them take that away from you. Noah didn't respond, his emotions swirling in a chaotic mix of longing and fear. Denise didn't push further, instead giving him a kiss on the forehead and leaving him alone with his thoughts. That evening, Noah scrolled through his phone, trying to distract himself. His feed was flooded with posts about prom, classmates showing off their outfits, discussing plans, and tagging their dates. His heart sank with each post, the gulf between his reality and their excitement feeling insurmountable. One post, however, stopped him mid-scroll. It was a video clip from an interview with Zendaya, the actress and activist who had become a household name. She was answering a question about her advice for young people facing challenges. You have to remember, Zendaya said, her voice steady and sincere, that you're not defined by how others treat you. Your worth isn't determined by their opinions. Be yourself unapologetically, and surround yourself with people who see your value. Noah replayed the clip, her words resonating in a way that made his chest tighten. He had admired Zendaya for years, not just for her talent, but for her advocacy and authenticity. In that moment, her words felt like a lifeline, a reminder that he wasn't alone. An idea began to form, hesitant and fragile but persistent. What if he reached out to her? It was a ridiculous thought. Someone like Zendaya wouldn't have time for an ordinary kid like him. Yet the idea refused to fade. On impulse, Noah opened his sketchbook to a blank page and began to draw. His pencil moved with purpose, the lines coming together to form a portrait of Zendaya, her expression calm yet powerful. As he shaded the details, a sense of clarity emerged. He would write to her not because he expected a response, but because it was a way to reclaim a piece of himself. By the time he finished the drawing, the sun had set, casting his room in shadows. Noah took a picture of the portrait and uploaded it to Instagram with a caption that read, "At Zendaya, your words remind me to keep going, even when it's hard. Thank you for being an inspiration." #Prom Dreams. He hit post before he could second-guess himself, then turned off his phone and crawled into bed. As he drifted off to sleep, a small part of him dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, someone would see his message. The next morning, Noah awoke to the sound of his phone buzzing incessantly. Groggily, he reached for it, his heart skipping a beat when he saw the notifications. His post had gone viral, with thousands of likes and comments flooding in overnight. But it was the one notification at the top that made his breath catch in his throat. It was a direct message from Zendaya herself. "Hey, Noah, I saw your post and I just want you to know that you're incredible. Your talent and courage are inspiring. Let's chat soon. I'd love to help you with your prom dreams." Noah stared at the screen, his mind racing. Was this real? It had to be some kind of prank, a cruel joke. But as he clicked on her verified profile, the reality began to sink in. Zendaya had noticed him and she wanted to help. He sat there, his hands trembling as he typed out a response. "Thank you so much. I can't believe you reached out. I don't even know what to say." Her reply came quickly. "Say yes to prom. Let's make it a night to remember. I'll help you every step of the way." For the first time in a long while, Noah felt something unfamiliar yet exhilarating: hope. Maybe prom wasn't just a distant dream. Maybe, with a little help, it could become a reality. Noah's heart raced as he stared at the screen. Zendaya had replied again, her words lighting a spark of excitement he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just the message, it was what it represented. Someone, a person of her stature and influence, believed in him. For a moment, he let the warmth of her words wash over him before the doubts crept in. Why would someone like Zendaya care about his problems? What if this was all too good to be true? But the next notification shattered his hesitations. A video call request from Zendaya herself. He froze, his thumb hovering over the screen. Could he do this? His reflection in the screen reminded him of the endless taunts he'd endured, the cruel laughter of classmates like Ryan. Shaking off the fear, he swiped to answer. The screen lit up with Zendaya's smiling face, her presence radiating a warmth that immediately set him at ease. "Hey, Noah," she greeted, her tone as casual as if they were old friends. "It's so nice to meet you." Noah swallowed hard, his voice faltering. I can't believe you're really talking to me." Zendaya chuckled, her laughter light but genuine. "Well, believe it. I saw your post, and let me just say, that sketch, it's incredible. You've got some serious talent." "Thank you," Noah managed, his cheeks flushing. I didn't think anyone would see it, let alone you." "Well, I did, and I'm so glad," she said, her expression softening. "But tell me, Noah, why aren't you going to prom? What's holding you back?" The question was gentle, but it hit a nerve. Noah hesitated, unsure how much to share. Yet there was something in Zendaya's gaze, a genuine care, that made him feel safe enough to open up. He took a deep breath and began to tell her everything. The bullying, the isolation, the fear of being humiliated in front of his entire school. His words spilled out in a rush, and when he finished, he braced himself for her reaction. Zendaya's expression was a mix of empathy and determination. "Noah, I'm so sorry you've had to go through all of that. No one should ever feel like they don't belong. But let me tell you something. Those bullies, they don't define you. You're so much more than their words, and you deserve to shine, especially at prom." Noah felt a lump rise in his throat. "I want to believe that, but it's hard. They've made it so hard." Zendaya leaned closer to the camera, her eyes locking with his. "Then let's show them who you really are. You're not just going to prom. You're going to own it. And I'm going to help you every step of the way." Her confidence was contagious, and for the first time, Noah felt a flicker of possibility. "But how?" he asked. "I don't even have a suit, let alone the courage to walk into that gym." Zendaya grinned. "Leave that to me. I've got some ideas. First, let's get you a suit that'll make jaws drop. And second," she paused, her smile widening, "I'll be your date." Noah's jaw dropped. "What?" "You heard me," she said with a playful wink. "If those bullies think they can mess with you, let's give them something to talk about. I'll make sure this is a prom they'll never forget." Noah's head spun. The idea of walking into prom with Zendaya by his side felt like a dream too big to grasp. Yet her conviction was unwavering, and for the first time, he dared to imagine it. "Okay," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Okay, let's do it. Zendaya's grin was electric. That's what I like to hear. Now, here's the plan. Over the next few days, Noah's life transformed into something unrecognizable. True to her word, Zendaya took charge, arranging a whirlwind of preparations that made his head spin. First came the suit fitting, held at an upscale boutique downtown. Noah had never stepped foot in a place so luxurious, and he felt completely out of place until Zendaya arrived, her presence instantly calming him. The tailor, a sprightly older man named Mr. Grayson, measured Noah with meticulous precision, muttering to himself about fabrics and cuts. Zendaya stood nearby, offering suggestions and encouragement. "What do you think?" she asked as Noah stepped out of the dressing room in a sleek navy suit. He looked at himself in the mirror, hardly recognizing the confident young man staring back. "It's amazing," he admitted, a small smile tugging at his lips. Zendaya clapped her hands. "Perfect. You're going to look like a king." Next came the haircut. Noah had always kept his hair simple, but Zendaya convinced him to try something new. The barber, a friend of hers, worked with care, shaping his hair into a style that framed his face and brought out his features. When he saw the result, Noah couldn't help but grin. "This is wow," he said, running a hand through his hair. Zendaya nodded approvingly. "Told you, you're ready to slay." But it wasn't just the external changes that mattered. Throughout the process, Zendaya took every opportunity to boost Noah's confidence, reminding him of his worth and potential. She encouraged him to share his artwork, even connecting him with an online community of young artists. Slowly but surely, Noah began to see himself in a new light. As prom night approached, Noah found himself feeling something he hadn't in years: excitement. The dread that had once consumed him was fading, replaced by a growing anticipation. With Zendaya by his side, he felt invincible. The night before prom, Zendaya surprised him with a small gathering at her hotel suite. She had invited a few of her friends, all of whom greeted Noah warmly and treated him like part of the group. For the first time, he experienced what it felt like to be accepted, to belong. "Tomorrow's the big day," Zendaya said as the evening wound down. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous," Noah admitted, "but excited too." Zendaya smiled, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Good, because tomorrow you're going to show them the real Noah Carter, and trust me, they're not ready for you." Prom night arrived with an energy that pulsed through the air, carrying both excitement and trepidation. For Noah, it felt like the culmination of weeks of transformation and years of pent-up emotions. He stood in front of his mirror, his new suit fitting him perfectly. His hair, styled in a way he barely recognized, added to the image of someone confident and ready to take on the world. Yet, despite the external polish, his nerves simmered beneath the surface. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his tie, his thoughts racing back to every taunt and jeer he'd endured. Would tonight be different? Could he truly hold his head high in front of his classmates? A knock at the door snapped him out of his thoughts. He turned to see his mom peeking in, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. "Noah," she breathed, stepping into the room, "you look so handsome. My baby's all grown up." Noah chuckled, his cheeks flushing. "Mom, don't cry. You'll ruin your makeup." Denise wiped her tears, shaking her head. "I'm just so proud of you. I know how hard this has been, but you're showing so much courage. Tonight is your night, baby. Don't let anyone take that away from you." Her words filled him with a sense of resolve, and he nodded. "Thanks, Mom. I'll do my best." The sound of a car pulling up outside drew their attention. Noah's heart skipped a beat as he peeked out the window. A sleek black limousine sat at the curb, and stepping out was Zendaya, radiant in a deep burgundy gown that shimmered in the evening light. She looked every bit the star she was, yet her warm smile as she waved at him made her feel like an old friend. Denise gasped. "Is that—" "Yeah," Noah said, grinning despite himself. "That's Zendaya." "Boy, you better go downstairs and meet her," Denise said, practically pushing him out of the room. Noah descended the stairs, his nerves replaced by a growing excitement. As he opened the door, Zendaya greeted him with an exaggerated whistle. "Look at you," she exclaimed, giving him a playful twirl. "Noah Carter, you're killing it tonight." Noah laughed, feeling his confidence grow under her praise. "You're not looking too bad yourself." They shared a laugh before Zendaya offered her arm. "Shall we?" Noah took her arm, his nerves melting away as they walked to the limo. Inside, the atmosphere was lively and warm. Zendaya's team, who had helped organize the evening, cheered him on, making him feel like a VIP. As the limo approached the school, Noah's anxiety began to creep back in. The parking lot was packed with students, their excitement visible even from a distance. The thought of facing them, especially with Zendaya by his side, felt daunting. Sensing his hesitation, Zendaya placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Hey, you've got this. Remember, tonight is about you. Don't let anyone steal your joy." Her words anchored him, and he took a deep breath. "Okay, let's do this." The limo came to a stop, and the driver opened the door. The moment Noah stepped out with Zendaya, the chatter of the crowd turned into stunned silence. Phones immediately appeared, capturing the sight of the Hollywood star and the once overlooked boy walking arm in arm. Noah felt every pair of eyes on him, but instead of fear, he felt an unexpected surge of pride. This was his moment, and he wasn't going to let anyone ruin it. Inside the gym, the decorations were dazzling, the music loud, and the energy electric. Students milled about, their eyes constantly darting toward Noah and Zendaya. Some whispered in hushed tones, while others approached cautiously, their curiosity overriding any lingering animosity. Among the crowd, Noah spotted Ryan and his usual group, their expressions a mix of disbelief and jealousy. For the first time, Noah didn't feel small under their gaze. Instead, he met Ryan's eyes with a steady confidence, his head held high. As the night went on, Noah found himself laughing and dancing with Zendaya, who made sure to include him in every conversation and introduce him to everyone she spoke with. Her presence acted as a shield, deflecting any negativity and drawing in positivity like a magnet. At one point, the DJ announced a special dedication. "This next song goes out to a young man who's showing us all what it means to rise above. Noah, this one's for you." The opening notes of a slow, soulful track filled the gym, and Zendaya held out her hand. "Care to dance?" Noah hesitated, aware of the crowd watching, but Zendaya's encouraging smile gave him the courage to step onto the dance floor. As they danced, the gym seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them. For the first time in years, Noah felt truly seen, not as a target, but as someone worthy of attention and respect. The applause that erupted when the song ended brought him back to reality. His classmates, who had once ignored or ridiculed him, were now cheering for him. He glanced at Zendaya, who winked and whispered, "Told you they weren't ready for you." As the night drew to a close, Noah stood by the refreshment table, reflecting on everything that had happened. Zendaya approached holding 2 cups of punch. "How are you feeling?" she asked, handing him a cup. Noah smiled, his heart full. "Like I can take on the world." Zendaya raised her cup in a toast. "Here's to the real Noah Carter, the artist, the fighter, the star of the night." They clinked cups, and Noah felt a swell of gratitude. This night, this moment, was more than he could have ever dreamed of. For the first time, he felt like he truly belonged. The buzz of prom night lingered in Noah's mind as the next day dawned. For the first time in years, he woke up with a sense of pride instead of dread. Memories of dancing with Zendaya, the cheers of his classmates, and the thrill of standing tall against his bullies played like a highlight reel in his head. Yet, as the glow of the night began to settle, so did the weight of reality. School resumed as usual on Monday. Noah walked through the same hallways where he had once felt invisible, or worse, like a target. But something was different. Heads turned as he passed, whispers followed him, and nods of acknowledgement greeted him. Even teachers seemed to take notice, their smiles warmer than usual. Noah wasn't sure what to make of it. Was this genuine respect, or just the aftershock of Zendaya's unexpected appearance at prom? He decided not to overthink it and instead focused on the positivity. During lunch, Emily found him at their usual table. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she plopped down beside him. "Noah, you're all anyone can talk about. Did you see the school's Instagram? They posted a picture of you and Zendaya with the caption Prom Royalty. Can you believe it?" Noah chuckled, shaking his head. "It still feels surreal. I mean, it was amazing, but what now? I don't want this to be just some temporary thing." Emily placed a hand on his arm. "Then make it more than that. Use this momentum to show everyone who you really are. Your art, your talent. Don't let it fade into the background again." Her words stuck with him. That evening, he pulled out his sketchbook and started working on a new piece. This one wasn't just for himself. It was for everyone who had ever felt like an outcast. He poured his emotions into every line, every stroke, creating something raw and honest. The next day, he brought the finished piece to school, a mix of nerves and excitement swirling in his chest. The school was hosting an art showcase later in the week, and Emily had encouraged him to submit his work. As he handed his piece to the art teacher, Miss Ramirez, he noticed her eyes widen in surprise. "This is incredible, Noah," she said, her voice filled with genuine admiration. "You've got a gift. I'll make sure this gets the attention it deserves." By midweek, word of Noah's artwork spread. Students stopped him in the halls to compliment him, some even asking if he could create something for them. It was a strange but welcome change. Even Ryan and his clique seemed less inclined to torment him, though their stares still carried a hint of jealousy. Despite the newfound attention, Noah couldn't shake the feeling that his transformation was incomplete. Prom had been a turning point, but the deeper issues, racism, bullying, and systemic challenges still loomed. He couldn't forget the years of pain, and he didn't want others to endure the same. The opportunity to address these issues came unexpectedly. During history class, the teacher announced a special assembly featuring guest speakers on diversity and inclusion. Students were invited to share their own experiences. As soon as the announcement was made, all eyes turned to Noah. "You have to speak," Emily urged him after class. "This is your chance to tell your story." Noah hesitated. The idea of standing in front of the entire school was terrifying, but deep down, he knew she was right. He had a platform now, a voice that people were finally willing to hear. He couldn't let the opportunity slip away. That evening, Noah sat down to write his speech. He thought about the countless times he had been bullied for his skin color, the isolation he had felt, and the resilience it had taken to keep going. He also thought about Zendaya's words. "You're not just going to prom, you're going to own it." That night, he had owned more than just prom. He had owned his identity, his pride, and his future. When the day of the assembly arrived, Noah's nerves were at an all-time high. The gymnasium was packed, the buzz of students filling the air. He sat backstage, clutching his notes, his heart pounding. "You've got this," Emily whispered, giving his shoulder a reassuring squeeze. The principal introduced Noah, and the applause that followed was louder than he expected. As he stepped onto the stage, he scanned the crowd. Faces blurred together, but he caught sight of Ryan sitting with his friends, his expression unreadable. Taking a deep breath, Noah began. He started with the basics, his love for art, his struggles in school, but as he delved deeper, his voice grew steadier. He spoke about the bullying he had endured, the pain of being judged by his skin color and the moments when he had felt invisible. But he also spoke about resilience, about finding strength in the face of adversity, and about the importance of standing up for what's right. As he spoke, the room grew silent. His classmates listened intently, their expressions shifting from surprise to understanding. Even Ryan's usual smirk was replaced by something that looked almost like regret. Noah ended his speech with a challenge. "We all have a choice. We can tear each other down, or we can build each other up. Let's choose to be better, not just for ourselves, but for everyone." The applause was deafening. Students stood, clapping and cheering, their energy electrifying. Noah felt a weight lift off his shoulders, replaced by a sense of empowerment he had never known. After the assembly, students approached him, thanking him for his words and sharing their own stories of struggle. It was a moment of connection that transcended cliques and stereotypes. Even Ryan, to Noah's surprise, came up to him. "Hey," Ryan said awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. "That was brave. I never really thought about what you've been through. I'm sorry, man, for everything." Noah didn't know what to say at first, but then he nodded. "Thanks. It means a lot." That night, Noah received a message from Zendaya. She had seen a video of his speech that someone had posted online. "You killed it, Noah," she wrote. "I'm so proud of you. Keep using your voice. It's powerful." Her words stayed with him as he lay in bed, reflecting on everything that had happened. Prom had been a milestone, but this, standing up and sharing his story, felt like the beginning of something much bigger. Noah realized that his journey wasn't just about overcoming his own struggles. It was about creating a space where others could do the same. And for the first time, he felt ready to embrace that responsibility. The weeks following Noah's speech brought a whirlwind of change, not just for him, but for the entire school. His bravery had sparked conversations that many had avoided for far too long. Teachers began incorporating discussions about race, inclusion, and empathy into their lessons. Students who had previously kept silent about their struggles started to find their voices. For Noah, it was both empowering and overwhelming. He had gone from being invisible to being at the center of something much larger than himself. The newfound attention was a double-edged sword. While many supported and celebrated him, others were more resistant. Whispers of, "Why does he get so much attention?" floated through the halls, and not everyone was willing to change their ways. But Noah was determined. He saw this as an opportunity not just to heal from his own wounds, but to create something lasting, a legacy that would outlive his time at the school. One afternoon, as he sat sketching under the old oak tree near the soccer field, Emily approached him, her hands clutching a notebook. "Noah," she began, sitting down beside him, "have you thought about what you want to do next? With all of this momentum, I mean." Noah set down his pencil, staring at the half-finished drawing. "I don't know. I want to do something that matters, but I'm just one person. What can I really do?" Emily opened her notebook, revealing pages filled with ideas. "You're not just one person, Noah. You're the person who got an entire school to listen. What if we started a club, something that brings people together, a safe space for students to share their stories and learn from each other?" The idea sparked something in Noah. He thought about all the times he had felt alone, the moments when he wished he had someone to turn to. A club like that could make a real difference. "That's actually a great idea," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "But we'll need help." Over the next week, Noah and Emily worked tirelessly to make the club a reality. They met with teachers, pitched the idea to the principal, and recruited students from all walks of life. The club, which they named Voices United, was designed to be a space where everyone could feel seen and heard. Their first meeting was a mix of excitement and nerves. Noah and Emily had expected maybe a handful of students to show up, but the classroom quickly filled with over 30 people. Some were there out of curiosity, others because they had been inspired by Noah's speech, and a few because they were looking for a place to belong. Noah stood at the front of the room, his palms sweating as he prepared to speak. But as he looked out at the faces before him, some familiar, others new, he felt a sense of purpose. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady. "This club isn't about me. It's about us. It's about creating a space where we can be real with each other, where we can share our struggles and celebrate our differences. I've spent a lot of my life feeling like I didn't belong, but I don't want anyone else to feel that way. So let's make this a place where everyone feels welcome." The room erupted in applause, and Noah felt a surge of pride. This was just the beginning. As the weeks went on, Voices United became a cornerstone of the school community. Students who had never spoken to each other before began forming friendships. They held open forums, invited guest speakers, and even organized a school-wide diversity day. Noah's artwork often served as the backdrop for their events, his pieces capturing the struggles and triumphs of the human experience. Zendaya remained a steady source of support, occasionally checking in with Noah to see how he was doing. One evening, she surprised him with a video call. "Noah, I saw the pictures from your diversity day," she said, her face lighting up with pride. "You've created something amazing. I hope you know that." "Thank you," Noah replied, feeling a warmth spread through him. "I couldn't have done it without you. Prom night. It changed everything for me." Zendaya shook her head. "You give me too much credit. All I did was remind you of what you were already capable of. The rest, that was all you." Her words stayed with Noah as he continued to build on the foundation he had laid. But, as much as things were changing for the better, challenges remained. Ryan, while no longer openly antagonistic, still struggled to fully embrace the shift in dynamics. One afternoon, he approached Noah during lunch. "Hey," Ryan began, his tone hesitant. "Can we talk?" Noah raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Sure. What's up?" Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "Look, I know I've been a jerk for years, and I'm not saying that to excuse it, but I guess I just didn't get it, what it was like for you. And now, seeing all this, it's made me realize how wrong I was." Noah studied Ryan's face, searching for any sign of insincerity, but all he saw was genuine regret. "I appreciate that," Noah said finally. "It's not easy to admit when you're wrong, and if you're willing to change, I'm willing to move forward." Ryan nodded, a weight seeming to lift from his shoulders. "Thanks, man. I'm trying." As Ryan walked away, Noah felt a sense of closure he hadn't realized he needed. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it made the future feel a little brighter. By the end of the school year, Voices United had become a force of change, inspiring similar clubs in neighboring schools. Noah's art was featured in the local newspaper, and his story was shared in classrooms and community centers. But for Noah, the real victory was in the connections he had made, the lives he had touched, and the community he had helped build. On graduation day, as Noah walked across the stage to receive his diploma, the applause was deafening. Among the crowd, he spotted Zendaya, her smile as radiant as ever. She gave him a thumbs up, and Noah felt a surge of gratitude. As the ceremony ended, Noah stood with Emily, his family, and his new friends from Voices United. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time it didn't scare him. He had found his voice, his purpose, and his place in the world. And as he looked out at the faces around him, he knew that this was just the beginning of a legacy that would last far beyond his time at Westfield High. Thank you for watching this story. If it resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more impactful stories like this one. Share this video with your friends and family to spread the message of hope and unity. And if you're looking for more inspiring content, check out our other videos. Your next favorite might just be waiting for you. See you in the next one.